Hi, I'm Rob Cope-Williams and I run a program called On the Land here on Country TV, and I might say that I'm very, very happy to be able to present to you On the Land on Country Television, because it's a very, very important part of the education and the exposure as far as farming is concerned. Now, On the Land, I'll tell you a wee bit about it. Basically, it's an information program, and we look at things such as cropping, we look at horticulture, and give you advice on what's happening as far as your crops are concerned. We look at animal health very regularly, and once again we talk about prevention as well as cure. We look at farm accounting, what is happening as far as IRD are concerned, and what are some of the packages that can help you do your farm accounting, because that's a very, very complicated area. I don't need to tell you that, do I? We also have a look at resource management, and of course the farming industry is absolutely totally full of characters. So we introduce you to some of the characters that we meet. The other thing is, On the Land isn't just a television program. It is also very much a part of being integrated with social media. So the interviews that you'll see here on Country Television will also be on our website, be on YouTube, and you'll be able to catch us on Facebook. The bottom line is that we decided a couple of years ago now that we should be able to provide information for you on any screen, anytime and anywhere. So that's what we're doing. On the Land, you can catch us on our website, which is ontheland.co.nz. Now, the first thing I'd like to share with you is the Canterbury A&P show. Now, the Canterbury A&P show, to me, indicates exactly what all the A&P shows are all about. It's all about huge amount of hours from volunteers, but it also means that we can highlight our industry, which is the farming industry, and we can hand that out, if you like, to the city folk, so they've got a bit of an understanding, because quite frankly, not many of the city folk actually understand what farming is all about. Used to, about a generation ago, everybody had an uncle and an auntie who had a farm, but nowadays I'm afraid it's not that. So therefore, On the Land is able to bring you and everybody else who wants to watch it a bit of an insight into the characters and what happens at an A&P show. Big is beautiful, and the Clydesdales and the draft horses, Tim, always get a crowd, don't they?
Yeah, they're certainly crowd pleasers.
So it's a breed or a type of horse that's never really lost its popularity.
No, they went out as workhorses probably in the 1950s. The last of the teams were, working, but then after that, people bought them and they went into the tourist game, the tourist industry with them a bit. Some of the little farms still used them a bit up until the 70s, but now they're virtually just an entertainment animal now. People have got them just for their own pleasure.
They're very, very quiet in spite of their size.
In general, but they're like all horses. You can get the odd one that's a bit nasty, and when you get a bad one, they're bad because of their size.
I reckon that would be dead right.
Yeah.
So what are the judges looking for, Tim?
Well, in the Clydesdale, you're looking for a horse with a nice big broad foot, flat bone. When they're going out in the ring, they like to see them move away from with plenty of action, plenty of hock action, because the Clydesdale was renowned as a horse that could walk at a fast speed. Like in the old days, they used to work bullocks. Bullocks will only do 1.5 miles an hour, whereas a good Clydesdale does 3 miles an hour. So they got over the ground, whether they were ploughing or carting produce to the wharves or the railheads, whatever. So it was their action that really set the Clydesdale apart from the other breeds.
How do you keep them fit?
Well, today none of them are fit because they're not working. They're really only hobby animals now. I wouldn't say they were very fit.
Now, the other thing that suddenly started to appear is gypsy cobs and such.
Mm-hmm.
That's another branch of the heavy horse.
Yeah, well, they're more an English horse. The gypsies over there, the travellers use them. That's where they originated, but they seem to become a bit of a fashion statement at the moment. There's a lot of people buy them, I think, just for their looks and their colour. But I was over in England this year and I went to 1 or 2 big villages, and there was still quite a lot of gypsies there using them in the traditional way. And you see them camped on the big motorways over there. There'll be flyovers and clover leaves and that, a bit of vacant land in between. The gypsies will be camped there with the gypsy cobs. So they still use them over there a bit. Most of their vehicles are motorised. But
Isn't it nice, though, that they are still around and they are being brought back into fashion again?
Yeah, they're at the crossroads at the moment. You know, there's the younger people are coming on that are interested in heavy horses, but they're keeping them more and more now as a fashion statement, I suppose you'd say, or to ride and that. But they're not working as much as they used to. They were bred to work, and that part of the heavy horse is fast disappearing. The work side of it, probably the only way they're going to survive into the future is as a riding horse or museum horse or something.
Now, you're from Australia. How do we compare to Australian breeds?
Well, you've still got the Clydesdale here is still the traditional Clydesdale that they would have worked in the 1930s and 40s, like size-wise, height-wise and that. Australia and other places like Scotland, the home of them, they've gone for a bigger horse, mainly for the market. Most of the big wagon teams, they like big, showy horses. And in America, of course, America likes everything big and better. And a lot of the Scottish horses go to America, so the Scots are breeding a bigger horse now. But I'd have to say here they're more the traditional breed still.
Well, you find all sorts of characters at the Canterbury AMP show, and Chris, I'm going to put you in that category. But tell me about the chaff chaps. How did it start?
So we started in 2014. I used to own a mushroom farm, and we needed some chaff cut for our mushrooms to grow on. And because for oyster mushrooms you need it on nice little short wheat straw, not long stuff that you grow button mushrooms on. And so we tried lots of different options around how to do that. And finally I met this old guy who said, "Chris, you've got to buy a chaff cutter." And I said, "Well, that's great, but where do you find one of these?" So talked to lots of chaff cutters. No one wanted to cut chaff for me because wheat straw is just a pig of a process to cut. And so we finally found this guy over in Swananoa who said to me, "Chris, I'll do it for you, but you need to buy a chaff cutter." One thing led to another, and we finally found this chaff cutter down in Southland. We bought that, brought it back up here, then found we needed to have a steam engine to drive it. Not quite a steam engine, but that was basically what it was.
Without the traditional sources.
Exactly. And we believe in being back to the basics, which is why our machine's 113 years old. And so we bought this chaff cutter for doing the mushrooms. Then we looked at it and said, I only need it for about one day a fortnight. And that's a little bit silly. So we had a few conversations with Rob, my business partner, and said, why don't we just cut some chaff? And so we asked around, we did some research, we found that there was a shortage of Timothy chaff. And so one thing led to another, and the chaff chaps were born. A few coffees, a few beers, yeah.
So your market, I mean, nobody sort of thinks about chaff, but then there is obviously a market.
There's a massive market. There's something like about 80,000 recreational horses in New Zealand, without getting into the performance horses, the racing horses and all the rest of it. So there's a big market out there for horses, and most of those need some chaff at some point. So there's a massive market there for chaff, and most of it is dominated by lucerne, which is a little bit over the top in terms of a horse feed. The Timothy's a much better option for horses. It's more palatable, it's slightly less protein, but it has no end of fight. So you don't get heat up with your horses. So your horses are much more easily manageable. And we've got a lot of trainers now that are starting to use it and just commenting on how much more relaxed the horses are.
Because to some it's actually a health product for horses.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And we've got a number of customers who are ardent fans of it from a health perspective. And if you've got ponies and stuff, Timothy's the best way to go.
So let's run through some of the attributes, because you're talking about Cushing disease and all that sort of stuff.
Yep. So the Timothy, because of the nature of the feed there, then you don't end up with a lot of those metabolic types of issues. So laminitis, all of those sorts of things are not problems with using Timothy. And all of those things, you can end up with problems with lucerne.
So how do you keep it weed free?
So we get it grown in Southland. We have a very good grower down there. We've tried getting it out of Canterbury, but it just doesn't seem to grow very well here. So we have a very good grower down in Southland, and he knows what he's doing. He's been growing it for a long time, and yeah, he provides us with a great product.
Well, Chris, here's your chance for a commercial. How do people find you?
So you can find us at www.thechaffchaps.co.nz. We're also on Facebook, or just email me, info@thechaffchaps.co.nz.
So obviously presentation is very, very important, and you as a groomer, apparently that's an international trade.
Yeah, apparently. I come over from Australia and yeah, helping out stewards over here, so no, it's pretty good.
So how big a demand is there? I mean, there must be a lot of shows with a lot of cattle.
Yeah, there is. Over home's pretty fair big demand over in Australia and over here, and it's a pretty good industry to get involved in.
So what do you do? Because they look pretty amazing.
Oh, you just like sort of clip them all off and just get them to show the best features off, and yeah, make them look nice and sweet.
I mean, you've got across the whole animal, you've got sort of areas where it's very well trimmed and other areas where you've got the hair standing up.
Yep, we just trying to make them look as best as they can with just make them look the best and show off everything you can do. There's always a few things you can do to them.
Do you oil them at all, or is that?
Yeah, give them like a nice shiny coat and brush them all down and clean them all up with a bit of paint.
And of course the tails get a fair bit of attention.
Yeah, you fluff them out, make them look nice.
So how do you learn your trade?
Just off other people, just learning and watching other people, yeah.
And you've been doing it for a while?
I've been doing it probably a couple of years, yeah. So you just sort of just learn off the people that have been doing it most of their life, and
But you obviously do it continually. I mean, you don't just set them up on the Wednesday and then leave them.
You got to do it continuously. Like, probably takes a month or so, a couple of months to get them on their diet and eating right and everything. So there's a fair bit of preparation to get them all right before a show.
Now, the other thing is that I was astounded to find out that there's people here 24 hours of the day. What are they doing on the night shift?
You just got to make sure they're eating and like one's not getting sick or something or too cold and getting dirty, and just got to keep an eye on them pretty much around the clock.
Because if a tail starts to lift, there's people rushing in with buckets.
Yep. So it's not such a messy job after it.
And you must be very proud of the way that these animals have come up.
Yeah, they come up really good. So we've come a long way from being in the paddock really hairy and dirty. So it's pretty good to see like the progressive stage of it all.
And they're nice and quiet.
Yeah, nice and quiet, yep. Haven't got kicked yet.
So what's your next move? Where to from here?
Back home. Got a bit of farm work to do at home, so then I come back in January. So yeah, it's pretty good.
Mr. President, it's a big show for you.
It is indeed. It's a privilege to be the president and head this prestigious show that we have here in Canterbury.
And it is really big. It's the country's top one, really.
Well, it's the biggest, and that's based on the number of people who come through the gate, the number of livestock exhibits and the trade exhibits. There's a formula there which gives us that status. So.
Of course, the James family have always been very supportive, and they will be this year with you, President, and your own cattle here.
That's correct, Rob. Once again, we've got a big team of cattle. We've been doing it for many years now, and yes, we've got about 15 animals of our own here this year in the Limousin section. So.
Now, the volunteers, let's give them a bouquet.
They are wonderful. About 500 of them. Just that's stewards and just people marshalling and just people just generally doing things just to help make this event work. It is incredible. It's the only way that it can work. If we had to pay all those people, we wouldn't be here today. So
and it's interesting that they all get the job done. Nobody seems to stand over them.
That's right. Everyone knows what they've got to do, and you just let them go, and it just happens. On the day, the show goes on, and here we are today. It started the show.
The promotional team have been working for 12
Very good.
months.
We've got a great staff at TDM in the office there. The contracted to do all that work and run the minister the show, and they do a wonderful job in there. They're just busy people and a wonderful crew to work with. It's been a pleasure as the president working with that lovely staff we have in there in the office.
And of course you'll have celebrities and politicians and such coming in through the gate.
Yes, they do. They seem to like coming to Canterbury, and there's an MPI function which Nathan Guy is going to be hosting later in the week, and yes, he'll be a number of there'll be a number of politicians and the local city councillors and the councillors from around the Canterbury, that they all turn up at the show, and it's lovely to have them there. It's a great time to be in Christchurch this Cup and Show week. There's a lot happening, and with Canterbury having such a wonderful spring, it's just the spirits are very high in the show.
You've got an eye for stock. Has the stock come through nicely?
Stock have come through very well. In some areas the drought's has been hard, but the last few months have been just terrific. Really, the growth is coming. It's been warm. We had a very warm late spring, and we got into spring warm late winter, and we got into spring very quickly. So, and it's well set up for the summer now.
Well, you have a good 3 days, and
thank you, Rob.
And, it is a big. Let's hold the weather hope.
Let's hold. Well, a bit shower or two doesn't matter, but as long as it's not nice and fine on the Friday, that's the big day. So, thank you.
Not sure how to brighten up your backyard? Try Grow Sure Easy Flowers, all in one mix. Seed, feed, mulch. It's bloomin' easy. Be sure with Grow Sure from KiwiCare.
Everybody has a story to tell. What's yours? Maybe your family has been farming the land for 5 generations. Perhaps you have invented the next best thing in agriculture, or maybe something else. Whatever your story, if you're out on the land, we want to hear from you. Get in touch by emailing us at info@ontheland.co.nz.
You know that saying, content is king? Well, in today's mixed media world, it's true. You need video, audio, photos and more for social media, for marketing, for communications, sales and for advertising. And you need this at a price that works with your budgets. Well, that's what we do. At Tandem, we partner with you to create the content that you can use to shout to the world or video link to a few. Connect with us and we'll help you connect to the world. Be Active begins here in the cold, clean, unpolluted southern oceans of New Zealand. Be Active amino acid biostimulant, natural, 100% pure, manufactured from healthy deep sea fish from sustainable New Zealand fisheries. New Zealand's Be Active amino acid biostimulant, the way the world is growing. Working with nature, good for the plant, good for the planet. Now that's growing for good.
We're living on a planet facing almost insurmountable challenges. Challenges we have to face sooner rather than later. The world needs our energy. She needs our ideas, our passion. It's up to us to change things, make a positive change to the planet, to feed the world, to protect the future, to live well, to be the generation that will make a change. Join us.
Not sure why your camellias aren't cooperating? Try Grow Sure Planting Magic, packed full of nutrients in just one handful. Be sure with Grow Sure from KiwiCare.
Chris, Vero is obviously a big corporate sponsor. It's a great opportunity, I suppose, to meet a lot of your clients.
Yeah, absolutely. We like to put a bit back into our clients. We've been in farm insurance in New Zealand for over 100 to 150 years, and we don't often get in contact with our customers, so we just like to give a wee bit back to them. We've got a marquee here at the stand next to the cattle lawn, so they can come in. We sponsor the livestock pavilion, so they come in, have a coffee with us, have a wee bite to eat, get out of the rain if it's raining, and we just have a chat to us. We're not there to pressure them into buying insurance. We're just there to have a chat and say good day.
In fact, you can't sell them insurance, can you?
No. We direct them. If they wanted to buy insurance off us, we're most willing to sell it to them, of course, but they have to go via a broker, so we just direct them to a broker of their choice, and they'll come back to us and we can insure them that way.
Let's talk about brokers because they're unsung heroes.
They are. They're very, very valuable in the insurance world. And for customers, what they do is they provide advice. They can obviously market and get a good price for them, and that's to the customer's advantage, of course. But also in the claims time, they're a very good advocate for the client. So if the claim could be covered, may not be covered, the broker will get in there, sort them, give them the right advice of what to do, how to approach it, and also negotiate with us as well, and because they're very knowledgeable. And so it's the advantage over a direct insurer where they've got no one to give them that advice, and if the claim's declined, they've got nowhere else to go.
And I know because I'm through a broker, and
Yes.
Vero is my insurance company.
Well done, perfect.
But my broker, Crombie Lockwood, gave me all sorts of stuff that I had no idea I could get.
Yeah, that's right, exactly, and that's their role, is to help out. And so insurance companies now sort of downplayed on staff and things, so they can go through brokers, and brokers provide all the advice that we're used to. So we solely go, it's called intermediated, so there's an intermediary in between us and the customer. So that's why it's great on days like today or at the AMP show that we can actually sit back and get the customers to come in. We're not trying to sell them anything, we're just saying, g'day, thanks, here we are, we're in insurance, we're Vero and we do rural.
I guess insurance brokers can be categorised as chartered accountants. I mean, you're not expected to know, are you?
Yeah, that's right, exactly. So it's, and because we are intermediated, we don't heavily advertise. We used to have the Bull in the China Shop ad, and that got a few fans, and that's great. And so now we're more concentrating on looking after our customer, elevating our customer, and seeing what we can do to help our customers. So with insurance, with rural insurance especially, we've got a wide range of things where we cover their business, their farm, also their home life, the kids going to university. We've got a cover for them, for their contents and things like that. So we're trying to involve ourselves in as much as we can of their lives. We're also aligned with a company called Asteron, who look after the life side and looking for a health insurance option as well. So we're trying to encompass all their needs in one go. Bit of competition.
Well, obviously they're voicing their approval.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
So, big 3 days for you.
Yeah, big 3 days. It's going to be long 3 days, but great 3 days. We really like to get down here and support AMP and support the Maya Foundation as well. We're aligning with them, asking for donations for the coffee to go to the Maya, which is supporting the Children's Hospital here. So yeah, very happy to be here.
McLaren, you won't agree with me, but you're actually pretty knowledgeable and are quite famous about cattle.
Well, I thank you for that, Rob.
Now,
I have been working at it for a few years.
You certainly have.
Yeah.
Now, the standard for this year?
We're very pleased with the cattle that have come forward, Rob. Yeah, very pleased. You've got a very strong Angus section here, and we've got the privilege of having an international judge from Scotland. His name just happens to be Willie McLaren, so I'm going to claim him as a relation.
It's important that you do have international judges come in, though, isn't it?
Well, the interesting thing with Willie is that the family have imported quite a bit of New Zealand genetics over the years, so he understands New Zealand cattle. They're not foreign to him, so to speak.
So, as an industry, I mean, we don't hear too much about it. We hear about dairying, but how's the beef industry going?
Well, the beef industry is quite strong at the moment. Yeah, there's a big demand for young stock to take through, and the schedule has been, the market price has been pretty solid. So it's all looking firm. Yeah, solid.
The bull sales, how did they go? Because there's
been some very good yearling bull sales. Both Timania and Cockatoo had great sales.
And so the future for beef is still very, very much there?
Yes, I believe so. There's now a worldwide interest in our grass-fed systems, where a lot of the beef cattle elsewhere are feedlot finished. In New Zealand, we specialise in grass-fed cattle, and there's now becoming quite an interest from offshore for that product, a more natural product.
So we've moved away from those big long-legged things that with a whole lot of American blood in them.
Oh, well, yes, we need to be careful when we say American blood, because Americans have all sorts of cattle. They've got such a huge gene pool. So you can go to American, pick any type you like. You can still find the big ones. You can also find the smaller, efficient ones.
So genetics, we've got a pretty good base now as far as the herd.
Oh yes, it's in this. The beef cattle, both the likes of Hereford and Angus, are in pretty good heart. They've got enough choice to work with and a variance throughout their breed to suit conditions.
How important is showing for a stud breeder?
Well, it gives them some profile. It gives the breeder a chance to talk to maybe a commercial breeder and get them interested in what they're doing within their program, and it may result in them making a sale.
Do the commercial people actually come and have a look?
Yes, they do.
Joe, I guess an AMP show such as this is an ideal chance for the government to communicate with the voters.
It certainly is, Rob, and there are certainly a large number of people here that we talk to, not just farmers, quite a lot of the local people live in town, and they're quite interested in what the National Party is doing in their area.
Because you are doing quite a bit without giving you a chance to soapbox.
We are, and around WorkSafe, around the water issues, clean water. So I think, I come from a farming background as well, not in the Canterbury region, but in another region. And WorkSafe and safety on motorbikes and machinery and that is really key. And I think it's really stepped up the farming community and their ability to make sure that everybody is kept safe and to reduce the number of motorbike accidents, motor accidents, drownings and things like that. So I think it's been good. It's not only just good for the farmers, I think it's good for everybody.
Compliance is something that makes most farmers shudder, Joe. But you know, you've got to have it.
That's right, you do. Yeah, you do have to have it, because you can't have people going onto your property that you don't know that they're there and then an accident happens. You can't have that. So I think it's good that farmers these days have a little notice on their on entrances to their properties to say to always check in with the management to get that they're coming onto their farms. And that's good because it gives the farmers the ability to monitor the people on and off the farm. So yeah, I think it's a good idea. Farmers don't like it, but they're coming to the party and they're coming to it in a big force.
Well, if they don't come to it, they're going to get either fined or they're going to be sued by somebody's family.
That's right, they will. And that's what compliance is all about at times. But what I've found, my husband's a farmer, and when he first heard about it, he wasn't too happy about it. But now that he's got in on board with it, and they've had a number of seminars, not just through farming companies, but also through the banks as well. And now he's really staunch. So when people come on, he goes, make sure you've got this on and that on, and you're doing this and that. And so I think once farmers come on board with it, they become a very good monitor of making sure that everybody's compliant.
And there's a whole lot of assistance as far as programs are concerned as well.
There is some assistance for that, and that's what I was saying just before, is that there's a lot of training and information available to the farmers so they can pick it all up and implement it themselves.
And Joe, mental health is something that I champion. That's a major concern in rural areas still.
It is. People are under a lot of pressure. They've got big mortgages, and when the market's down, the pressure comes on there. I used to work in the mental health area. I used to fund mental health in Mid-Central, and so I saw a lot of that, a lot of suicide prevention work. I worked in that as well, and you see farmers go under a lot of pressure, and so with some of the programs that we're putting in, it's actually helping them and their families, because mental health just isn't about the farmer, it's about the whole family as well, and the community. You've got to bring the family and the community on board with it as well, so we're doing our best.
And how are things in the Manawatu?
Very good, lush compared to some parts of Canterbury, yeah.
Dave, the Corriedale breed is very focused on the commercial buyer as well, aren't they?
They are, and I think they've got to become even more so. I mean, it's the commercial producer that you've got to satisfy here in the stud arena. The sheep here today have got to have those true Corriedale characteristics that can be ongoing to the producer, and he's got to appreciate them. And if the Corriedale breed can regain some of the lost territory that they've lost, obviously with crossbreeding, well then I believe if they have that commercial orientation approach, then it'll just automatically slot in.
Because they are a true dual-purpose sheep.
Correct, very much so. And meat is just as important in the Corriedale breed or any other dual-purpose breed for that matter as wool. I feel wool's only about a fifth of the equation, meat's about 4/5. So I'm a more concentration on meat, but I also believe in the dual-purpose sheep area that we've got to concentrate on temperament and attitude of the sheep for ease of management, and also for the finished product. I believe we get a tenderer meat with a quieter animal.
So looking at the breed, they were sort of known to be able to just dust and stones, and they're okay.
Beg your pardon?
As meaning that they'll do very well in very dry conditions.
Oh, they do. They've always been renowned for that. And Jimmy Little invented the breed for that very purpose. And a lot of the general public and a lot of producers have forgotten that. And now that we've had droughts in North Canterbury, it's brought it home a little bit. The chickens have come home to roost. And the Corriedale breed has come out and proved what it can do. Whereas a lot of these other breeds, crossbreeds, have been found wanting.
Now this particular you've judged very, very well. She's a good-looking animal. What have you looked for?
Just the commercial traits that ew's obviously got. She's got a magnificent carcass, tremendous loin, and to rear two good lambs like that and to have the muscling that ew's got on is a credit to her. It's a credit to her genetics. That you just can't feed that or make it. It comes within the genetics of that particular strain, and she's a great example both for a Corriedale registered breed and for a commercial ewe. She just ticks all the boxes, and I indicated in the ring there that she's got that X factor that a lot of sheep haven't got. They can be good, but it's that little bit extra that gives them that final analysis, and hence she became champion.
So for a commercial breeder, how important is coming to the Canterbury A&P show and seeing these animals?
I think it's very important. I've always believed that the farmers should come here. I mean, we've gone into a figure orientation period, and there are figures here now. They are SIL figures. That ewe had an index of 1,300, nearly 1,400, 1,394, which is exceptional. And it shows there in the lambs. I'm not a SIL fanatic as such. I still believe you've got to have a live animal with a good head, and the temperament, as I've already explained, the figures have got to match that. And so that's where I come from. Yeah.
From China, you've just come over for the A&P show?
Yes, that's it.
So obvious question, it's a long way to come, so why are you here?
Well, we thought to trace some genetics, and we want to trace from the best origins that possibly we can. So came here to see Arthur, and he's helping us to choose the right breed for us for our milk production.
Because Arthur Blakely is quite famous as an exporter of our genetics.
Yes, yes, yes. I spoke to a couple of friends, and they have connections, and they tell me Arthur is the one to speak to if you need to see anyone.
Is there any particular breed, Clive?
Well, we heard the East Frisian is the best milk production breed, and we want to join them with our local meat breed to create our own particular breed that we can use later on. So East Frisian is what we're looking for. He's shown us a couple from his other connections, but we're just here to see what else we can see.
I know it sounds a loaded question, but your thoughts so far, are the sheep in good shape?
Yeah, it's getting where we wanted, so yeah.
And you must be looking for sires, are you, or you're looking for ewes as well?
We're looking, the best way to get to where we wanted is frozen semen, so we possibly could look into some rams later on, but at this stage it's frozen semen.
And you're getting a bit of time to actually look at the animals?
Yeah, we did. We went to Auckland yesterday to see some rams, and then here we are to see the rest of it.
Well, enjoy this. How long are you here for?
Till later this afternoon, and we'll fly back.
So
tight schedule.
A flying trip then?
Yeah, that's it.
Well, have a good afternoon.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
So Arthur, we've just been talking about you. We better talk to you. The importance of international trade.
Well, Rob, as you know, I've been involved with it for a very long time. and yeah, it's very important to New Zealand to have our genetics being used around the world, and I'm lucky enough today to have two gentlemen here with me from China, one of them who lives in Australia and one who's come directly from Beijing, and they're interested at this stage of importing East Frisian semen for a milking operation.
They're talking about semen rather than animals at this stage. Is that the easiest way of doing it?
Well, I think it is, because the airfares and the air freight are all so expensive, and they have the technology now to handle inseminations. So yeah, that's the way they've chosen to go.
It's not just China, but China is a very big market, I'd imagine.
Well, I think it's going to become a bigger market. Of course, you know, my work is traditionally with South America and Mexico. So for me, it's a bit of a new venture. So we'll look forward to see how it goes.
But you've never walked away from a venture yet?
No, I've got pretty close sometimes.
A couple of characters we found in the Lincoln University area. Starting off with you, you're in recruitment as far as students are concerned.
Yes, no, I've been doing the role for about 3.5 years and cover regions across Australia, Wellington, Wairarapa and Canterbury. So yeah, good fun.
And James, University, the Lincoln University, has got a lot to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. It's probably underrated a lot as a common conception we run across, but we think it's a real gem, and it's definitely an interesting job at times, and a bit of a challenge, which is keeps you excited and on your feet. So.
Because it's not just farming, there's
Absolutely.
a lot of other areas.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a really broad range of offerings across the land-based sectors. So I mean, it's things like landscape architecture, land and property management, food science, tourism management, sport and recreation management, the list goes on. I mean, the offerings we've got are really varied within sciences and a little bit of design, and also the commerce sector, and agriculture as well is very much a flagship of what we do, but we've got a whole big range of offerings, and our role is to get them out there in the marketplace and get people excited about them and highlight some of the different career opportunities that exist, because a lot of them students wouldn't necessarily be thinking about straight out of high school, but they're really exciting and they're rewarding, and they're industries that need graduates, and that's the message that we're out there trying to hammer home.
Every day.
So how do you approach that? Who do you go and see?
Most of our dealings are with high school school students and leavers, although as you can see here today, we're obviously in a physical space in the public realm as well. So it's normally our dealings are with high school students, and we approach them through the careers advisors in the schools respectively, and also through our systems we also have contacts with them once they fill out a form to keep in touch with us. So that's a big part of following up on them as well.
And all sorts of events. We're everywhere doing everything throughout the year. It's really exciting and really varied. It's cool.
Is farming becoming sexy for the young people?
Oh, well, we'd like to think so. I mean, some of the opportunities that exist there are definitely very inspiring. We also do an initiative called Soil Makes Sense, where we get fresh graduates to go into schools, present about what they're doing now, the sort of things they've got to do day to day, the pay scales they might be on, and sort of, open students' eyes to the jobs that do exist, and that agriculture doesn't necessarily mean just gumboots. There's some really cool careers out there, and it's, like you said, bringing the sexy back to agriculture, I guess.
Because James, it is a lot more than gumboots and dairy cows.
Oh, absolutely. When you look at the jobs that are actually involved from just, for the farmer to get to that point where he's in gumboots, milking the cows every day, is the jobs just go on and on. And it's sometimes the jobs that not everyone realises that exist, that actually keep industry churning and moving. So part of our job is trying to actually encourage and promote those jobs that people not necessarily think about from day to day. And it's, as Sophie had said before, it's those jobs in recreation and also in commerce opportunities that actually, adds support and what we call allied industries to agriculture as a whole.
So if you obviously isolation isn't a problem now with organisations like Young Farmers, and that's party time for people in the country.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got the youngest, the biggest young farmers group in
South Island.
South Island. Yeah, it's big. I can't remember the exact fact around it, but yeah, no, it's definitely very social. There's lots of opportunities to sort of be able to, you know, network and meet people from similar backgrounds. And universities are a really cool time to be able to do that because the connections you make, they last a lifetime. I mean, here at the AMP show today, half of the site's for recruitment, half of the site's for alumni. And we spent all morning talking to people that have studied at Lincoln University over the years, and now they're coming back and they're passionate about their time and they're telling us great stories and reminiscing about really fun times, and it's really neat to see.
Not sure how to brighten up your backyard? Try Grow Sure Easy Flowers, all in one mix. Seed, feed, mulch. It's bloomin' easy. Be sure with Grow Sure from Kiwi Care.
Everybody has a story to tell. What's yours? Maybe your family has been farming the land for 5 generations. Perhaps you have invented the next best thing in agriculture, or maybe something else. Whatever your story, if you're out on the land, we want to hear from you. Get in touch by emailing us at info@ontheland.co.nz.
You know that saying, content is king? Well, in today's mixed media world, it's true. You need video, audio, photos and more for social media, for marketing, for communications, sales and for advertising. And you need this at a price that works with your budgets. Well, that's what we do. At Tandem, we partner with you to create the content that you can use to shout to the world or video link to a few. Connect with us and we'll help you connect to the world. Be Active begins here in the cold, clean, unpolluted southern oceans of New Zealand. Be Active amino acid biostimulant, natural, 100% pure, manufactured from healthy deep sea fish from sustainable New Zealand fisheries. New Zealand's Be Active amino acid biostimulant, the way the world is growing. Working with nature, good for the plant, good for the planet. Now that's growing for good.
We're living on a planet facing almost insurmountable challenges. Challenges we have to face sooner rather than later. The world needs our energy. She needs our ideas, our passion. It's up to us to change things, make a positive change to the planet, to feed the world, to protect the future, to live well, to be the generation that will make a change. Join us.
Not sure why your camellias aren't cooperating? Try Grow Sure Planting Magic, packed full of nutrients in just one handful. Be sure with Grow Sure from Kiwi Care.
So, from Nelson, booze, I guess we could say. What are you selling?
Well, we are having whiskey and rum, gin, and there's only 2 distilleries on this planet that have fresh hopped gin. And since Nelson is the hop headquarter in New Zealand, we try to highlight fresh hopped gin from Nelson. They grow varieties that are selling out every year. They're sought after, and we make 3 different gins with Nelson hops.
And so it's called First Cut, and it's also called The Cut. What's the story behind those?
The cut is a term from distilling. When you distill a spirit, what comes out first of the distillery is called the head, and you throw that away. What comes out next is the heart, and you put that in a barrel or a bottle. And what comes out last, with some fusel oils, that's the tail. It is up to the discretion of the distiller to make a cut between head and heart and tail. So that is where the cut is coming from. The rum we call the Cooper's Cut because my first occupation is a cooper. I make the barrels where my rum and whiskey goes into. And decut, in Nelson we have the longest boulder bank. I'm not sure of the Southern Hemisphere or the entire planet. And in 1910, they blew a hole in the boulder bank so the big boats can easier go in and out of Nelson Port, and the locals called it the cut. And that's why we have a sailboat on our cut. It is part of the Nelson landmark.
And we've just been looking at some of your fruit products as well.
Oh, we have 8 different fruit liqueurs. I believe I'm the only producer of a quince liqueur. I'm possibly the only producer of a nocino, which is a green walnut liqueur. And yeah, everything is local fruit from Nelson. And I believe I'm also the only producer of a absinthe.
So what's in the absinthe?
Absinthe is a anise and fennel and wormwood distillate. A lot of the ingredients, again, are from my own garden, and we macerate it in brandy, which I get from local wineries. I get the wine from wineries in Nelson. I distill the wine into brandy, and then I macerate botanicals in it, and then it is distilled. It comes out clear and transparent as water from the still, and then we macerate it a second time, again with wormwood, mint balm, and mint.
What a lovely profession you've ended up in.
Oh, I do it. I have a passion. I wouldn't want to do anything else.
Mind your own business. Now, normally that would be something you wouldn't say to many people, but for you, it's got a different meaning.
Yeah, absolutely. So MYOB, or Mind Your Own Business, we're all about helping businesses succeed, especially in the agricultural space. But we cover businesses of all shapes and sizes, from your small one-man bands all the way up to your much larger businesses.
It is complicated and it is a minefield.
Yep, absolutely. So for businesses to really get their heads around from all sorts of compliance changes, from managing GST all the way through to managing, especially if you're managing staff, it can be really tough. Managing a PAYE, making sure you're all sorted with things like holiday pays. There's been huge amounts of stuff in the press around working out holiday pays. That's the beauty of having great online accounting and payroll software, is actually it does a hell of a lot of the work for you.
Does it save a whole lot of money when you go to the accountant for the end of year summary?
Well, I'm probably not the one to be able to tell you in terms of how much money it can save, but absolutely. I mean, in terms of the benefits of having online accounting and payroll software is the fact that actually you just make sure you can really work with your accountant all the time. You don't leave it all the way through to the end of the year. So you can fix up the books all the way through. So actually when it comes to the end of the year, you don't get some huge great shocker of a bill that comes through and it's like, oh my God, where the hell did that come from? You know how you're going all the way through. Lots of our customers do actually tell us that actually it has really reduced their compliance-based bills with their accountants.
Is it easy to follow? Because not everybody is that far up the tree.
Yeah, absolutely. No, the whole point is to make the solution so super simple that no matter what type of business you're running, that you can really manage the books by yourself. But the great thing is with the MYOB, you can link in an accountant or a bookkeeper or a business advisor who can help you do the books all at the same time. So there's great solutions out there that help you save time, but also link directly in with the IRD. So for example, your GST, you can automatically push your GST directly through to the IRD, and so you don't have to worry about it. It's just so super simple.
So when IRD, for example, changed the rules and regulations about amount of homestead that you can claim,
yeah, absolutely.
You guys reprogram.
Well, that's right. So no matter when the compliance changes are taking place, usually we tend to find that they take place at the 1st of April and then the start of the new tax year. And so all that happens with the online accounting software, the great thing is that it automatically updates so that you never have to worry that you're not on the right side of the IRD.
Because it is changing constantly though.
That's right, and that's the whole point of making sure you've got up-to-date software. Because often we can find with some businesses, they're not compliant because they've got old software that they haven't updated for many, many years. And that's a great thing about having an online solution, the online accounting and payroll, that you're constantly up to date with all the new changes that are taking place.
So how does it work? Does somebody register and then they just click in and out when they want to?
Yeah, so in terms of the great thing to do is to go online, go onto the myb.com website. You can take a free trial, and you just download and subscribe right online, and so then you're ready to go. You can then invite an advisor through. All you'd have to do is just click a button, send them an email address, and they're invited in to be able to access the accounts exactly the same time as you.
Cost?
So cost varies depending on the type of package that you need, but anywhere from $18 a month. Our standard package for probably the majority of New Zealand businesses is $40 a month, so it's not a huge investment at all, and that even includes payroll as well. So it's great value for businesses to have that peace of mind and to save so much time. We know that our solutions probably save businesses on average about 10 hours of work every month, and you think about if you valued your time and what 10 hours will be worth for you, it will be so much more than $40 a month.
And it's catching on.
Absolutely. We've got so many of especially our desktop customers that we've had for many, many years. MYB's been in business for 25 years. And so we've got a huge number of businesses who are now moving and upgrading to the cloud. And then, of course, for new businesses coming on board to MYOB, we're having a fantastic year this year, and we've seen huge amounts of innovation in our product, and yeah, really proud of it.
Shopping area is always a big crowd puller.
Yep.
So what makes it so wonderful?
I think it's a bit of variety, isn't it? You don't see this sort of thing very often, and you have to come to the show to see it in this sort of volume. There's a lot of competitors here, and the crowd do appreciate it. They do get a lot out of it.
So it is a sport, but a lot of people don't ever you don't hear people saying, I'm a wood chopper.
No. Toss up whether it's a sport or an entertainment. We'd look at it as a sport, but the crowd, obviously, it's a straight entertainment. I don't think they understand the concept of how we work it, but they just like seeing it done.
And there's a big following. I mean, there's people from all around Australasia here.
Yeah, and from further afield. Americans, Canadians, you name it, they all come.
And is there enough young people coming through?
Oh, we'd like to see a lot more. But it's a hard sport to actually get into in that respect. Not a lot of money attached to it unless you're in the very top level. And obviously family take precedence, so that's basically a philosophy we have. The family comes first, so this fits in after family.
There's a lot of big men involved.
Oh yes, 160, 170 kilos, some of them. It doesn't follow that the bigger ones are the better ones. I've known some very good smaller ones.
And how fit do you guys have to be?
Well, we'd range from terribly unfit to very, very fit. It just depends on your goals and aspirations in the sport.
And you obviously got a PA man who's fairly loud.
Yes.
But that's all part of hype, isn't it?
It is, and it's part of engaging the crowd in what we do, actually. So, yeah, sometimes we think things like that are a nuisance, but it's essential for the well-being of the crowd that they know what's going on and people keeping them involved.
And safety?
Absolute rules. You're not allowed to do this unless you're competent. If you want to do some training, that's fine, but it's essential that it is done well. And we have some strict rules on it. At any time, there can only be competitors and organised officials in the arena. No one else is permitted.
And you don't see people losing feet, despite the fact that there's a very sharp axe swinging.
Well, they started putting out the things that butchers and freezing workers use on their hands, and they use them now for the feet. So it's a mesh guard, so it's more difficult to actually hurt yourself these days. I don't use them because I'm old and know what I'm doing, but for the young ones it's kind of important that they look after themselves, so yeah.
Jeff, it is another huge event as far as everybody's concerned.
It's huge, it's getting bigger. It's exciting, yeah, no, it's been a hell of a journey getting to this one, I can tell you now. We've built this new enduro cross track, so that's a huge new thing for the show. We had a smaller event last year, this year it's gotten bigger. Obviously the equestrian's as big as it's ever been, and our we're all cattle event this year. And numbers are up, and numbers last year were up in cattle, so it's growing.
So how do you do that?
You stay engaged with people. Someone comes into your office and they've got an idea, you listen and you figure out how to help them. So, my businesses and my team are all about enabling volunteers to do their thing. So, you know, you have such a mix of characters that come into the show. The first thing you do is you never judge anybody, because the craziest people can create the most amazing things. So we listen, we figure out how to do things, and we give them a shot, and then they create stuff, and some of it's cool. Have you seen the Wall of Death by the Enduro Cross?
No, we've got to go and have a look.
Go and have a look at it, it's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, that's old AMP show. When I was knee-high to a perching pullet, we used to do the Wall of Death.
Yeah, well, it's back. Good things never die.
And the weather, I mean, this is Wednesday.
Beautiful day, yeah. Like, all the farmers are here, all the city kids are here. They're enjoying this beautiful day. I mean, these crowds, it's packed, it's awesome. It's going to get better.
And entertainment-wise, I mean, you bring a lot of entertainment into what was normally a AMP show.
Yeah, no, we do. Well, I think people want to see everything, but they also want to sit down and be entertained, and they're paying to get through the door, so we'd like to give them as much value as we can. So Jodie Doreen's playing at the moment. She's an amazing country singer. Come Friday, we'll have people from Yeah Na Na's with Jason Kerrison from Hop Shop, and James Reed from the Feelers, and someone from Fur Patrol. There's like a really cool acts coming along. And if you've got kids, the Court Theatre have 3 amazing acts you watch for free on their own little children's stage. It's awesome.
So what we can do really is congratulate you and see if you can top this one next year.
I congratulate my team, they do all the work. I just ask them nicely to get it done.
Well, it's bloody successful.
Yeah, no, it's good, we enjoy it. That's what we're here for.
So there we are. Just to back up what Jeff was saying, it is a very successful show, and that's just a very small percentage of the characters and what there is to see here. So many people put so many hours into it so that so many others can enjoy it. Congratulations, Canterbury A&P. So as I said, that's a slight insight into the Canterbury A&P show. One of the lovely things about farming in New Zealand, I think, is the amount of depth there is in A&P shows. I mean, Rangiora, for example, celebrated their 150th this year. Now, 150 years of a small provincial Canterbury town doing that sort of service, and I mean service. I mean, bottom line is that everybody who is doing anything, whether they're stall holders, whether they're judging, whether they're presenting their stock or whatever it might be, it's all volunteers. Now, can you tell me any other organisation that has been going for 150 or a lot more, in some cases, years, and all done by volunteers? I mean, the thing is that you've got, for example, hundreds of volunteers who turn up on working bees, and they arrive on the Friday. They need to be fed morning tea, lunch and afternoon tea. On the day, everybody gets morning tea, lunch and afternoon tea. And invariably they get morning tea, lunch and afternoon tea on the Sunday, because that's the clean-up day. So the bottom line is, A&P shows are probably the oldest form of community bonding in the country. It came out of the UK, I guess, because they have A&P shows over there. But isn't it absolutely wonderful that people still come in and do that bonding? I think it is absolutely astounding. And luckily, and I say luckily, the townsfolk do come out and they do join in and everything, and they do wander around the stock. They may not understand everything. They may not understand why one certain animal got a champion ribbon and another animal didn't get anything. But the bottom line is that they're there, they're enjoying it. And it's interesting really when you have a look once again at some of the characters that are involved with ANP shows. It is a wonderful institution, and that's why I really like to go out and talk to people like the characters you've just been talking to or we've been telling you about. Congratulations to everybody who's involved with ANP shows. You're all legends.